So we've got our chai or pani and water and ready for this conversation. So we are basically a community of learners and we ask the Seekho learners and they obviously have a lot of questions from you. They've been following you. They are obviously very inspired and motivated to be like you. And they've got a bunch of questions that we hope you can answer for us today. And we want to see the various facets of Ranveer.
Cool.
Which one do you want to bring to play today?
I'm happy to bring out any of my 14 personalities. So
Ah.
whatever you guys ask, that'll
Who's
be
your
presented
first
to you.
favorite personality type?
I feel I'm like a child on the inside, so I like that
I
one
like
the
the
best.
child, yes,
Yeah.
the man child.
Yeah, something like that.
Awesome. You bring a lot of value to your viewers, to anyone who is listening. And a lot of people and a lot of us consider you their role model. But I'd like to reverse this question is who do you consider your role model? Who inspires you?
I think it changes as you grow up. Right now, there's a lot of this guy called Kevin Hart. Have you heard of Kevin Hart?
No?
He's an international comedian, but he began in comedy and then went into every possible thing,
Okay.
including a lot of community work, social work. So for me,
Right.
my own personal goal this year is to get much deeper into social work,
Okay.
like 2022, and that's why I probably say Kevin Hart. You know. So I would also put someone called LeBron James into that same category.
Okay.
Like because I feel like no matter how much you try doing monetarily, at the end of the day, if you're not giving back to the community or from the country you live in, it doesn't mean much. So at this stage, I'd say these two people.
These two. So giving back is a huge part of who you are or what inspires you.
I mean, like I don't know if it's a huge part of me because we've not done as much as I would like yet. Like we have been involved in giving back, but hopefully by the end of this year, my answer will change.
Will
So
change.
yeah, that's the big mission this year.
Right. So,
So-
I mean, let's add one more personality type to these 20, 30 things that we're already multitasking and working on.
I guess that's the plan.
And so, I want to start with this, and it's not in my list of questions, but you're 28. You're a motivational speaker. You are doing so many things. Um, did you get that? Ki, aapko kya pata, right? Like what knowledge do you have to actually motivate or talk about things? Have you got that a lot?
I mean, it's always been there. It's there at this stage also. Early on, it was like, oh, you're too young to do this. I think there are certain narratives like that even now. Like people say that how do you have the certification to say all
Right.
these things? But at the end of the day, any content creator, anyone who's putting videos on social media or YouTube or wherever, is first and foremost talking to themselves.
Right.
Like it's just videos you're making for yourself or speeches you're writing for yourself, and then it's for the rest of the world. Now, if along with the process of writing to yourself, if it builds a community, great. So that's how I look at it.
So every time you're writing content, is it for yourself and whether it's bringing value to you essentially?
So because we're on Seekho, I'll share like some of my learnings. Okay. I feel like whenever you're learning anything, the final stage of learning is when you pass it on to someone else.
Right.
That's how you make that learning pakka.
Right.
So that's why I would say that any video we create, it's stuff I think about for a very long time. I let it be in my head. I pitch it to my friends, and then only when I'm sure about it, I turn it into content to solidify it in my own head.
So the idea aata kaise hai? Like how do you decide that this is a content piece or this is what I'm talking about or this is the kind of content that I'm going to produce? Where is that spark of inspiration?
I think early on it was we used to just do fitness or fashion, and that was very direct. That was like, okay, I take information and I put it out. But even with fitness and fashion, I'd always focus on only putting out stuff that I actually applied in my own life. Now, because we're in podcasting and we're in this whole knowledge space, the ideas come from to some degree reading, to some degree like observation. I don't have an answer to that question right now. But it used to come from everything I used to apply in my own life and everything that helped me as a person. I thought, let's package this and turn it into content. Now I have no idea. Now the thing is, we're creating so much content that whatever's coming, I'm just like throwing it out.
Throwing it out.
Yeah.
And I was talking to Raj and he spoke about how you are actually a very visual person
Yeah.
and how you almost craft your content in your head before it's even put out there. What is that journey like? Or
Yeah, so I don't know how it, like what the logic of it is, but every time we're doing a video or whatever, I always see the video in my head before we actually end up shooting it. So for example, right now we have one of my teammates recording me from there. I can already visualize what that piece will
will
be.
look
Yeah,
like.
will be exactly. And as a team, eventually also you kind of get in sync. Even the team starts seeing it before they actually make it. Also, I have this one angle of trying to become a film director at some point in the
Oh
future.
wow! So
So
Bollywood hair, like let's not
direction.
direction
Now I
hair.
don't know, it'll be Bollywood, Hollywood, TV, what, I have no idea. But I just want to direct something.
And I was debating and contemplating Puchu Ni Puchu, and you've obviously talked about this a lot. You've talked about going through this dark phase in your life, and how
We can talk about it in a fun way also. You don't have to get
yeah,
serious. I'm very chill about
it's
it.
very chill about it. Okay, great. So I think mental health is, at some point, it's become, yeah, when I was growing up, it was just like we never spoke
Yeah.
about it, right? And suddenly it's become something that everyone is talking about. What is it like? What was that journey about? One, do we all, and here's the other part, which is maybe a little bit like politically incorrect. Does it get too much attention?
Hmm.
I mean, is it now just become fashionable to hype it up, or what was this journey like?
Yeah. So I can definitely speak for myself. Like, the thing is, when you're going through whatever you're going through, often when you're at that bottommost point, you think that you won't get out of it. But in most cases, people get out of it.
Okay.
And that's what I observed in my own journey as well. That if you just keep going, if you put your head to different things, usually you're kind of lifted away from there. And if you're really, really struggling, then you should definitely get some professional help from, say, a therapist, psychologist, whatever. In terms of, do we speak about it too much now? I actually had a neurologist on my show,
Okay.
Dr. Sid Warrior, who's also a psychologist.
Right.
And I asked him the same question, that why do we speak about it
Yeah.
so much
Yeah, कि
nowadays?
ज़्यादा हो गया है कि
Yeah.
मतलब
So what he said is basically it's like this. He compared to the swing of a pendulum. He's like, in the last 20 years, no one spoke about it at all. Like what you said
yeah,
about when you
yeah,
were growing
yeah.
up. So when there's absolutely nothing, usually the way culture works is you end up trying to balance it by talking
Fair.
about it a lot. But we're coming back to the center now. Like I think people have understood that when we speak about mental health, you also need to speak about actual biology.
Right.
So Dr. Sid also said that psychology and anything related to mental health is usually about the software of your brain.
Okay.
But the hardware of your brain is the neuroscience, your health, your lifestyle, the books you read, the content you consume. All that constitutes the hardware. And there's biology behind this. There's something called neuroplasticity in your brain,
Yes.
which means that you can keep building up your
Yes.
brain as you go forward in life. So you can actually strengthen your brain out enough to deal with the difficult situations or to even come out of difficult situations. But we don't address things like this often, though it's actual biology. It's proven biology. So I love, whenever there's a mental health narrative, I love shifting it into neuroscience.